When I did the wide-ranging achievement test, he struggled quite a bit with math. Computation was the piece of math that is done in the wide-ranging achievement test, and he really struggled with computation. He has basic addition and some subtraction. On the assessment, he wasn't able to do multiplication or division. I know in the classroom, he's working on those skills, and with supports in place and prompts and reminders, he's able to pull those things together and demonstrate that he understands them. But in a testing environment where there isn't a lot of assistance, there's not a lot of prompting and reminding for a student, there's kind of a script that you have to follow. Without the supports, he's not able to pull it together all by himself. Mm-hmm. I expect over time, with practice, this will come. But for the purposes of this assessment, he's really struggling. So the next assessment that I did is called the Key Math. And this is looking at sort of essential math skills and concepts. And it looks at a wide range of skills. Okay. So it looks at everything from numeration, algebra, mental math, geometry, problem solving, all of those areas. Right. And it's intended to be used with children between the ages of 4.5 to 21. So it looks at a wide range of math skills. And it does progress fairly quickly in each subtest through those skills. Overall, again, we're looking at scaled scores. So 10 is kind of average, 7 to 10 is the average range. Richie really struggled. Numeration is basic number sense and the ability to work with numbers, compare numbers, those kinds of things. His score was down here. Mm-hmm. Algebra also, and when we do algebra, we're not talking about x plus 3 equals y or 2x plus 7 equals 13. We're not looking at that kind of thing. We're talking about the kind of thinking that goes into algebra. Right. So comparing things and being able to do that kind of comparative thinking. But he struggled with that. Geometry was a little stronger. There he struggled with things like retrieving the names of objects. Yes. Yeah. Measurement, again, in that range. Data analysis was a bit of a strength for him. That was reading for the tasks he did. That was mostly reading things like bar graphs. And okay. As long as it was a fairly simple bar graph, he was able to, if I told him, and I'm allowed to tell him what the axes on the bar graph are, so it might be the zoo animals, and there are giraffes and elephants and tigers and camels, and this is telling you how many there are. If I say now how many tigers are there, if the bar graph goes up to a line that matches across, he's able to do that kind of task very successfully. If, on the other hand, it was skip counting, say, by fives, and it's 5, 10, 15, 20, and I ask how many tigers there are, and the line for the bar ends somewhere in between, say, 5 and 10, he wasn't able to then say, oh, well, somewhere in between, so it would be 7. He would say it was 5 or 10, something like that, or a number that didn't actually fall in that range. Yeah. Mental computation and estimation. He has to listen to me say things. I'm not allowed to repeat things, so it's one shot deal. He really struggled to remember things. Yes. in the kinds of calculations. So it would be something like start with 2 and add 3. Okay. Or 3 plus 2, take away 1. So there's a series of things that you have to remember, and there's nothing written down, and I can't repeat it for you. You're not allowed to write anything down to remind yourself. So often what happened is he would forget a piece of the task. Yeah. Addition and subtraction. At his age was written tasks, so he was given addition and subtraction questions. in this instance, and this is what I observed in all calculation that he did, it was all done on his fingers. He didn't count on what we would call, so if it was 7 plus 3, he didn't say, oh, well, that's 7, okay, 8, 9, 10. He would have to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Right, so a lot of trouble remembering the individual pieces. And so for him, particularly on this kind of task, while the key math is not timed, he has as much time as he needs to do it. It's a lot of remembering and easy to miss a finger or make a mistake. A multiplication division, he did a little better with that, but partly that's because of his age, so it wasn't expected that he could do a lot of these kinds of questions. Foundations of problem solving. This is thinking about math problems, talking about what you might need to do, what information you might need to have. Some of the tasks are picture activities, and so it might be, Jane is 2 meters tall and Bob is 1.5 meters tall. Who is taller? Things like that, where he's using a logic as well as his knowledge of numbers to help him solve the problem. It did not necessarily involve any calculation. Applied problem solving, however, used calculation, and so here he struggled quite a bit. So overall, you can see, again, they do composite scores, so they put different subtests together to describe performance. So his basic concepts are quite low, with a standard score of 63, which is well below average. His skill with math operations was 55, which is, again, it's right on the border of well below. Math applications, which is like the problem solving, was 62, and again, this is in the well below average range. So overall, when we look at his math is quite, it's lower than his reading. And a lot of that has to do, in comparison to the classroom, the fact that he didn't have supports. He didn't have blocks. He didn't have a ruler. He didn't have somebody reminding him, oh, remember this is multiplication. Remember this is how we do multiplication. We did it like this yesterday. Right. And so without those prompts and supports, he really struggled to get his feet under him and remember what he needed to do.